For everybody, my name is Caitlin Bigsby. I'm Director of Solution Marketing here at CYPHER. I joined CYPHER in February, but I'm not new to the learning space. I've actually spent about 12 years working for a major LMS provider as a business consultant, business practice manager, and marketing there as well. So I have a lot of hands-on experience in the learning world. Worked very, very closely with a lot of people just like yourselves getting set up on their solution and delivering really impactful learning offerings to their customers, whether it's internal customers or external customers. And I'm really excited to be here at CYPHER working with them on this incredible product. And they're incredible customers. I've been really impressed by what I've seen so far. So I'm excited to meet you all. Thank you again for joining us today, taking time out of your day. So let's jump into to the presentation, and we will get started. Oops. There we go. Can everybody see my screen? Shane, this up okay?
Yes, that's good.
Excellent. So welcome to Learning Has Never Looked Better. We're going to talk a couple of different aspects about your CYPHER portal. We're going to talk about branding and the importance of branding, and we're going to talk about some of the changes that we have made to the UI and how you can roll that out to your users. So we really want to make sure that what you're showing people is creating a really great consumer experience, whether you are actually selling training or whether you are trying to target an internal audience. How your system comes across really will make a difference in terms of how much people enjoy interacting with it and going through it and looking for courses. And I think one of the ways, especially if you are actually an internal learning system, actually creating that consumer grade appeal to your users is still really important in maintaining the value of the LMS. And of course, if you're selling training, that consumer grade feel, that professional feel will really help you achieve your goals. So as I said, my name is Caitlin Bigsby, Director of Solution Marketing here at CYPHER. And I've been in the learning and HR tech space for a very long time. My other great passion is analytics and data. So if you have any questions about how to measure learning impact, I'm your girl, and I'm happy to take your questions and talk further. And this is the first in a series of pro tips webinars. So we're going to be tackling a lot of pieces of the solution, a lot of different topics. We're aiming for a monthly cadence. If there's a higher demand, we might go a little bit more often, but really help you optimize your solution and optimize your program, what you're doing with the solution. So it's not all about being technical. It's about being, best practices and really getting the most out of the product. So let's talk about the why of UI. UI really is of course that first impression that people get when they hit your site, and it's really, really important. It takes a fraction of a second for somebody to have that sort of visceral response to something, particularly on a website. It's people are really spoiled for good UI experiences when it comes to web products. We have from the Instagram look to these really professional websites. People know what looks good and they react very strongly to it before they've even sort of mentally had a chance to process that. And 94%, of course, is design related. You can't have taken in much content in 0.05 seconds. So what you are reacting to is the look of the site. The other thing I thought was really interesting is that 14 out of 15 people, when they are looking for a word, are not going to find it unless it is very strategically placed in sort of where they would expect to find it in a scannable place. So again, if you are hoping to direct people to learning courses that are important for them, we need to keep that in mind. We need to make sure we put the words that matter in the places where they're going to find them. So first impressions, a professional modern design doesn't just look good, it also signals credibility and professionalism. So if you have people kind of come in, even if they have to log in because this is your organization site, an outdated design, you can think maybe you can get away with it, but it is going to leave a bad taste in people's mouth. They're going to do the bare minimum in your system and not a thing more. And again, if you are trying to sell training or reach external users who have choices, an outdated look or a cluttered, messy look is going to kind of give them an uncomfortable feeling, and they're not going to really enjoy being there. So we really want to draw people in with something that feels relaxed and fresh and with lots of space. A modern design also really builds trust and credibility. So this is going to signal to people that you kind of know what you're doing, that you're modern. And again, whether you are internal or external, that's really important because that first impression of the site does flow through to that assumption about the courses that you're offering. Again, whether we want them to or not, whether it's fair or not, that is part of the flow through. And it's going to affect engagement and retention. You want people to be browsing through your system. You don't want them to kind of get that mental overload as they're like wading through huge descriptions or a bunch of random images that don't seem to go. The less friction there is visibly is going to lead to more people exploring and moving through your site and finding more things to engage with. So let's jump into a few tips for looking good on your learning portal. So let's talk about colors. Color scheme is really important. I know the original CYPHER UI gave you a lot of options of places you can input colors. That is one of the things we've streamlined with the new UI. But let's talk in general about colors. First of all, it is important to use the colors that are part of your brand. That gives, again, that consistency that this is a part of this bigger picture. So of course we use the CYPHER green everywhere. And it really, gives that holistic, you get the resonance of your company behind you when you're using the same brand imagery and colors as they do. But focus on one, not a whole bunch of them. So we have one primary color and one complementary color in the new CYPHER UI. And keep it simple, focus on the main ones. Now, if you are a smaller organization and maybe you don't have that polished look, or you hadn't really thought too far, or this is a time for you to kind of revisit that. I think it's always nice sometimes to revamp and refresh. There are some really amazing websites out there that will help you find good colors that go together. Some will even help generate a logo for you using AI. So you can actually take this opportunity maybe to rebrand and refresh and pick some color schemes that work really well and reflect your brand and your image. So I've linked a couple of sites here. Coolers and Brandmark are a couple of options that our UI team are big fans of, and that you might find that really helpful for you. Then the third thing is colors on the images that you choose to use. You want them to be in the same color palette as your logo color. So for example, if your logo is a big primary colors, you don't want to do a bunch of pastels necessarily in your images. Maybe you want to go with some sort of black and white and pops of color that are primary colors of your color palette. If you do have sort of a more pastel-y kind of logo, you're going to want the softer colors in your image. You want everything to feel very cohesive. Think of it like artwork in your living room. You want it to complement what's going on in the rest of the space. So speaking of artwork and speaking of imagery, images do communicate quite a bit. People are obviously going to take in the visual message before they take in the word message. So investing in pictures for your site is really important. You can find quite a few. There's a number of different sites. iStock obviously is one that a lot of people use there is usually a monthly fee for access to X number of images, but it's very, very easy to use and there's a ton to choose from. There are other free ones like FreePic is another one was recommended. But do pick ones that sort of represent your brand. And when I say represent your brand, I also want you to think about the people in the picture. They should also represent your customers or your users. So you want to think about who you're trying to reach. If you are aiming a solution at maybe younger people, you might want younger people in your images. If you are in a multinational site, you're going to want to have lots of different kinds of people represented in the pictures. But you're also going to want, again, that kind of color scheme, that look. Is it an office? Is it a classroom? Is it outside? Is it in a warehouse? Make sure that it sort of reflecting back to people themselves. But do keep them simple. So choose the images that have a really clear focus of what's going on. Maybe they're zeroed in on one or two people working together or one object, but there isn't a lot of clutter. Of course, remember, you can crop pictures. If you find one that has maybe a corner that is absolutely perfect, that's fine. Take that down, crop it, and will work great for, say, a course tile or an image up in the banner. And then back to that consistency. Consistency, it leads to that sort of visual calm and that feeling of a clean and professional looking site. So try to find, again, the same kind of colors, the same kinds of people, um, and the palette clean. You can recolor pictures. So if you find an image that is perfect, but the color's not quite right, you can tinker a little bit in the editing tools with the color to get it a little closer to what you need. And that's a really great way to take a picture and make it be what you need it to be. And finally, for course images themselves, since that's where you're going to need the vast majority of your images, there's a couple ways you can go about this. You can look, maybe rather than a unique course image for every single course, maybe find course images for course types. So, forklift safety training, perhaps, maybe all has the same image, even for different courses, or something variations on that. Just again, visual cues to people so that they can scan the catalog and find what they're looking for. When you get into things like leadership courses and business courses, all of the images kind of look a little similar. So it'd be a bit tricky to find exactly what are going to represent specifically that course. So it might just be easier on everybody to find ones that represent sort of groups of courses. And don't be afraid to tinker with something. And if you don't have the tools available to you, to create an image, play around in a slide deck with that image, add text over top or crop things out, and then just download it again as a JPEG, and then you can go ahead and use it. Let's get into words. This is really important. As I mentioned at the beginning there, 14 out of 15 people will not find the word they're looking for if it is not where they expect it to be. So one of the ways we can help the words be where they are expected is to use as few of them as possible and be really specific. So stay concise, make it easy, use as few words as possible, and use the ones people expect to find. This is, if you want to be clever in a title, and I learned this myself just advertising this webinar, the clever title should be the subtitle and the specific title should be the heading. Make it so people can find what they are looking for. Short and long. You will notice in your CYPHER setup that you can add both a short course description and a long course description. I strongly recommend taking that short thing seriously. Keep it short, keep it an overview. That is what people are going to see when they browse your catalog. So in that image on the side there, the short description is what is displaying below the title. So we have course title and we have short description. Long description is going to display when somebody clicks in. So long description is where, go hog, add as much detail as you want. Again, keep it organized, use your words, edit, don't use extra words, but you can get into the details. You can get into the serious structure, but the short description should be very concise. And that will make the experience of scanning your catalog a whole lot better. And it will make it much easier for people to find what they're looking for. And that leads me to my last point of this. This is not a system constraint by any means. You can add a longer description, but best practice for kind of web scanning is about 150 characters. So if you can aim to keep your short description to 150 characters, that will go a long way. And that's really good guidance too for the rest of the people on your team. If you have a number of different course creators, if you can give them that guidance, it's easy. Personally, I actually find having this guidance a really good exercise in forcing me to be short. If you just tell me to be short, I'll go on. But if you give me a character limit, I can be really, really precise in my description. So it's actually a very helpful rule of thumb to give people. So I'm going to show you a few areas now where this kind of comes into effect. Our amazing graphics team here at CYPHER has given us some before and after examples of what works and what doesn't. So you can see sort of a not great example of a visitor portal on the I don't know, left or right, the elite core versus the other side. So one of the things I want to draw your attention to here in the visitor portal. So the visitor portal, for those maybe who aren't using it, is where you can land and review the catalog without having logged in. So this is a really important for those organizations that are selling training externally and are hoping to attract new customers every day. So the carousel is not actually built for images that contain text, and sometimes it can get a little blurry, little cluttered. So really focus on just an image that is clean, that has a lot of white space, and create air in the layout by using sections that are on a white background. You can layer over text on top. You also want there to be the ability to be a little bit of a contrast between the image and the text. So if you look at the image of everybody clapping there, you'll see we have white text on top of the background. So you do want to make sure, if you're going to do that, that the background is dark enough for the white text to contrast. Conversely, if you're using dark text, you want that background to be light enough that the text really does stand out. That is an effect that you can achieve quite simply. Again, if you don't have good editing tools, you can put it in PowerPoint. You can drag a box over it and with a semi-transparent color and immediately darken it, and then download that as a JPEG to use. So there are cheap ways you can create that effect by taking a picture that you like and just kind of softening it so that it makes a really good background for the text. All right, so on the dashboard, so this is when you have logged into CYPHER, and what you are seeing in front of you right now is the new UI, by the way. Again, we have another welcome carousel within the dashboard, and as well as the catalog below it. So again, we'll use images that are clean and simple. And you can include an image here that does contain text, but you want to make sure that's easy to see. So if you look at the two examples below, we have a background, the background that's sort of purpley. You'll see the text on that image is really hard to make out. It's there's too much going on in the background. There's not enough contrast with the background. There's a lot of imagery that kind of makes it hard. Your eyes are probably going to just avoid it because it's uncomfortable to look at. If you look at the one on the green background, you can see there is an image. The text is spaced to the side. There's still lots of white space around it, so it doesn't feel crowded in any way, and it's far more likely to get people's eyeballs on it. So that's something to keep in mind. So in the primary accent color, so in the example on the green, the green is the accent color, that's a CYPHER green. You do want it to be what we'd call a high contrast color. And what that means is that you can put white on it or black on it, and you can see that it is not so light that the text just kind of fades away, and it's not so dark that it just absorbs it. You want there to be a good contrast. So that might mean when you are choosing your primary accent color that it is not necessarily your primary logo color, because that's not the best one. So do experiment with the different colors in your palette. And just see which ones give you the best contrast when you have them in the system. It's easy to change, so you can sort of swap it out, but you're aiming for a really good contrast between text and color. And then the third point they've made on this, and of course that you can see on the image, the sort of before image with the numbers under number 3, all the different course images. Because they kind of have differences between them, it does, again, kind of feel messy. And then you marry that up to the image that's on the banner, and that's also kind of cluttered. And the whole thing just feels like there's just a lot going on. And we already have quite a bit of information on the portal because we're showing people their calendar and we're showing them people their awards. We don't want to then also add in some more mess and clutter there. So on the other image, again, I never know to say right or left because I'm not exactly sure how this is displaying for you, but on the image with the CYPHER green, you see that the course images, while different, have a very similar vibe and a very similar color palette to them, and that makes them feel just a little bit cleaner. And into the catalog again, so this is diving in. So first up, let's talk about those busy images again, we can see that we have different styles in the one with the number 1 here. And we have those similar styles in the other one. And you can see one feels just a little bit more cohesive, a little bit more like they're the same organization, and a little bit more, branded and professional. And then you can also see the difference between having the short and the long descriptions. For one thing, you're able to get a whole lot more courses in front of people when you keep your description short, because the system will adapt and it will show more of the description if you go long. So it's a good idea to keep it short. My rule of thumb, by the way, for writing things when I have to edit really dramatically, because it is hard. It is very, very hard to write short and concise. Write it once, say everything you feel the need to say, and then come back to it, and you'll start to see with repeated visits everything that you can cut away. All right, with that on our tips and tricks on branding, we're going to move into an overview of the fresh new CYPHER look. I understand that quite a few people have been eagerly awaiting this brand refresh, and we are extremely excited to be able to introduce it to you today, and I'll talk about how to switch over. So let's talk about the main navigation. So now the main navigation stays open throughout the session so that you can quickly access what you need as you're moving. So you can see the before and after here, the before with the hamburger menu at the top versus the after with the sort of pinned navigation available to you. So you can, everything kind of cascades out and you can always access what you need. And by the way, on this call, we do have Mark, head of product. We have Alexia also answering your questions. So don't be shy about dropping your questions in. We have experts on hand who can answer them for you. So let's get the course navigation menu. So when users are within a course, the main navigation condenses a bit. That gives them a little bit more space for the course itself. But the navigation tabs are merged with the new course navigation menu so they can still find what they're looking for. So everything that's changed, by the way, you can see is circled in red. Now, for navigating between modules within a course, all 3 menus are available so that they don't have to click around to find them again. They're there. They can just sort of fly out and collapse so they can get to what they need. And they can see their progress through it. If you see the one, the new version, you can see the CYPHER green kind of highlighting what's been completed and then pointing the direction down to the next module and guiding people through sort of a few more visual cues there. When users are within a group, again, the main navigation condenses, giving them more space to participate in the group, and the navigation tabs are merged with the new group navigation menu. So condense things and streamline things further. Help Center has moved to the bottom of the main navigation bar. So you'll see it right there at the bottom, and then just click that and the tab will open, displaying all of your help options. And search is now visible at all times, and the search results will appear in a drop down so that rather than redirecting you, so you can sort of choose where you need to go. And it does speed up site search as well. So now we have our new UI available to you, and you've got your brand. This is actually a really good time for you to maybe refresh your brand and your look and feel on the site. If you're going to roll out a new UI, you may as well also roll out any changes you might want to make to how the site looks from those pieces that you can control. So it's a great time to, when you can turn on the new UI just for yourself so you can see how your current brand looks within the new UI. And then maybe, go through and do a refresh of some of the images, maybe refresh the color and logos that you're using, double check that A, it's what you like. But again, if you want to make a change, this is a really good time to do that since it's going to feel a bit new for your users anyway. And then when you have everything looking the way you want, you can relaunch this to your users. So you can add your colors and your logo here in the general tab. As you can see, we have limited the number of places you can change your colors. This is not necessarily just for our benefit, but it also to keep that clean look and feel for everybody. So it sort of save you from yourselves, save it from being too messy, but you pick that primary color that is going to show off your brand best, and then choose a secondary color there, or a registration color to augment it, and just give it a try. You can also choose whether or not to enable dark mode for people. Here, the youngsters all love the dark mode, but that's just showing my age. And then update your new product logos down below. All right, so one place to go, not a whole lot of changes that you need to worry about making here. Most of the course, the branding you're going to be doing is on your portal and with the images and on your courses. But for straight up branding, you're going to come here, and it's very, very straightforward. Now, to enable the new UI, you can turn, like I said, you can turn it on for just yourself. And just see how it looks. And you can toggle between the new and the old until you feel really confident in it, until you get used to it. I do encourage you to just turn it on and just jump right in. But it's really simple. There's a link here to a click-through demo to show you how to do it. But if you want to figure it out yourself, it's up in the corner under your profile. There's one of the options when you click on your profile picture is to change to the new UI. Just turn that and you're good to go. Once you've done that, that option will change to go back. So you said you can go between the two. Next thing you're going to want to do after you've turned on the new UI is to go through the portal, see how it looks, not just to you as an administrator, but to somebody who's visiting your site for the first time. Make sure everything looks the way you want it, and maybe, based on all those things we talked about up front, identify areas where you can tighten up the portal and really streamline and refresh again for this new rollout. Now, when you have the portal looking the way you want, when your logo images are displaying the way you want, when you have the colors the way you want, you can notify your users that the new UI is available and that they can change over themselves the same way you did, or you can contact support and we can push the new UI to everybody. I don't recommend doing that without a notification, and that will take me into my next step. But again, it's very easy for your users to change over. Quick note, though, of course, is the branding of the colors and the logos. Those things are going to affect the portal, whether you are on the new UI or the old UI, especially course changes to course imagery and course text. That is not going to be dependent on whether or not you're using the new UI. So those are things that users are going to feel, but it's going to be a little slower. So the big change to them will be when you push out the new UI. Then they'll kind of see the full effect. They'll really notice the whole thing. But I just didn't want you thinking that you could make some of those changes to portal images or course images and not have it flow through if people are on the old UI. It will affect everybody regardless of what UI they are using. All right, so adoption resources that we have for you. We have on Zoho a job aid for branding the new UI and how to enable it. So that link there in the blue is a hot link. So when I send out this presentation to you, you will be able to follow that link to Zoho. Or if you are already in Zoho, you will see that resource there. Some of the branding sites I mentioned, if you decide to take this opportunity to refresh your look and feel, are Coolers, Brandmark, FreePick, and OpenArt AI. Quick note actually on some of the art pieces, if you are a CYPHER agent, or if you have the CYPHER 360 package with CYPHER agent for course developers, we also offer as part of CYPHER agent generated course imagery, and you can pick a style and work from that to maintain consistency in your generated course artwork when you're using CYPHER agent. Sample emails. I've drawn up a couple of sample emails that you can use to send out to your users. When you change to a new UI, you don't have to, but it is good practice to let your users know that things are changing so that they don't, have a little short circuit in their brain when they log in and things look a little different. So I've created a couple of email templates, one to send to users if you want them to change the UI, and one that you can use if you are choosing to change it for them, in which case I would advise you send that a couple of days out before the change so people are a little prepared before our support team changes everybody over to the new UI. We can also help, or you can take some of the screenshots from this presentation if you want to give job aids for people to help them find things. But the aim of this entire UI refresh was also to make it easier for users to navigate the system. So they should actually find it easier, not harder, but it's still always a little disconcerting when something you're used to changes suddenly. Finally, we do also have a link to a walkthrough of the things that have changed. So not only do you have the screenshots in this presentation, you also have another interactive demo that will highlight some of the changes and help people find what they're looking for, as well as a complete overview in one of our user guides. So again, these blue links here are hot. When I send you this presentation, you'll be able to follow them and get these resources. The sample emails I will send in a document alongside with this presentation. So we're really excited about this change, and I hope you are too. And what we really would love is to see what you do it. If you come away from this presentation inspired and you're taking a look at your site and you're thinking, you know what, I can make some changes to make it look a little fresher and newer and hotter, we would love to see your before and after and celebrate with you. We just celebrated our Customer of the Year awards, and that was so much fun seeing what everybody did and being able to celebrate their wins. We want to do this too. So if you decide to make any changes, please do send us that before and that after so that we can celebrate with you. Now, I can know that there have been questions coming in, and I trust that Alexia and people have been addressing them for you. I'll take another look and just make sure. I also wanted to let you know what was coming up. In our latest message to our customers, we included a link to an integration survey. We would like to make sure we're covering all the integrations that you need and providing you with information about that. So to do that and make sure we're supporting you properly, we are surveying our customers to find out what they're currently using. So if you missed that in the customer email, next week, I think we'll send out another email just asking people to fill it out. So please keep your eye out for that. It helps us help you. And as I mentioned, this is the beginning of a webinar series. We're going to do one on compliance and our compliance features and compliance in general, as well as CYPHER Agent. So CYPHER Agent, this is a part of the CYPHER 360 AI pack. CYPHER Agent is an incredible tool that will help you speed up your ability to create courses and support your mandate to provide amazing education and development resources to your community. So that's what I have for you there. Alexia, are there any questions that you think we should address out loud that maybe other people would want to hear?
I believe that everything has been answered, but what I would also recommend everyone, if you'd like us to do the change of the whole site to the new UI, please feel free to send out an email over to us, and we will be more than happy to assist you with this process as well.
Yeah, exactly. We are happy to change it for everybody. My only recommendation is maybe you give people a heads up that you change it for yourself first so that you can double check how it's going to look. But yeah, then please just let us know and we can push out that change for you. You don't need to do it one by one. But sometimes it's nice to have the option to toggle while you're just gearing up. So I see we have a raised hand from Kim. Do you want to put your question into the Q&A, Kim, and then we'll be able to address it. And I said, I will make sure I have chat enabled for next time. But I am so thrilled with how many of you turned out today. That's excellent for this first round of webinars. If there are other topics that you would like to see covered, please let us know. We'll put those on the list and make sure we cover them. If there are additional resources we can help with, let us know. Yeah, we want to hear from you. We want this to be sort of our regular feedback and interaction session, and we really want to help you succeed, share what we've learned over the years. We have a few real people who've been on the education side, who've been in your shoes for a while, and we're happy to share what we've learned and what we know and and sometimes learn from each other as well. So if we don't have any more outstanding questions, I think we can wrap up. And like I said, I do look for this package in your inbox, send the link to the recording, the presentation, the email template, and you'll have the links to all those other resources as well from the presentation. So thank you so much. It was really great turnout. I'm so glad to have had you here, and stay tuned for the next invitation for our May webinar. Bye, everyone.